He did. He did. The Rebbe's Mekasher, this whole year of the Rotze and Shuv, with Kapitel Samach Aleph, which was the capital of that year. The pasuk begins, Miktzei Oretz Eilecha Ekra. I call out to you from the edge of the world. And finally, Yeshiv Eilam Lefnei Elikim, he sits forever before Hashem. So the Miktzei Oretz explained is the lowest level of Eilam Hazeh Gashmi. And from there, he calls out, that's the Ratzui. Eilecha, to you, Atzmos, the very essence, as we explained in the Maimer, Kemayim Ponim El Ponim, that there is the Ponim of the Odom Atachten is Dafke there. And the Rebbe explains, as the Rebbe explains, he goes on to elaborate to you without qualifying who the you is, going on Atzmos. As the Rebbe explains, the Pasuk, B'chol Kareinu, the same Pasuk, same language, B'chol Kareinu, a love, same thing, calling to him. He is calling to you, calling to him. The same idea of calling a Rotzoi, and it's to him. Says the Alter Rebbe, Eilav Aleili Medoisav. I'm sorry, the Sifri says Eilav Aleili Medoisav means to him and not to his attributes. So the three Perushim there. The Sifri, the Baal Shem Tov, and the Alter Rebbe, as we have learned at length in the previous Maimarim. And that Eilav, it's actually brought down in the Hayyim Yoim, Eilav Koyal Atzmus. So then there's that, what to the Acharei is there? That's B'chol Kareinu Eilav. Then the pasuk concludes, Yeshiv Eilam Lefnei Elikim. He dwells eternally before God. So we're up to by the number 79, just below that. So then, then so the pasuk is conveying everything we're talking about in this Maimer. He dwells forever before Hashem. The dwelling implies indwelling, drawing down. The contrast to Ekra, which is the Ratzoi. The the diak is also here lifnei elikim. What level is he drawing down in the way of Yeshiv? That which precedes, simple meaning is before God, but even simpler is lifnei elikim, before preceding elikim, meaning lifnei atzimtzum, as we learned, that's the whole Evan Shahish Torah, that there lifnei atzimtzum, that's where he touches, and that's where the kavanah el yoina is, with the odam atachten kemayim panim el panim. So they lift that tzimtzum shezel za'oifa yitzim now l'sheshem b'shem elikim. This is the highest darga. So that's this darga is Yeshiv Olam dwells forever. Hainu sheti hamshocha b'chol seidish talshalos. So this the atzmos, it permeates and is drawn in all seidish talshalos ad lamata mata. Why do we need the atzmos to be drawn in seidish talshalos? The kavanah is the tacht. The answer is because the kavanah is that the alien should know that the kavanah is the tach. And that is a much deeper expression of the kavanah is the tach. In other words, it's not simply alien is more virtuous than tachten, but we're ignoring you, alien, and I'm choosing tachten. Kavanah Satum says that this truth be permeate the alien, that the alien understands the mile of the tacht. It's that kavanah sa'atzmus. So it's drawn to all the vishtal shalos, all the way down, bailam, into the world. That's lashon pasuk, yeshiv, oilam lifnei elikim, oilam lashon helam v'hester. The word oilam means concealment, brave and shalis yashvos, and this level lifnei elikim is drawn into the world in a way of Isyashvus, Yeshiv Davke L'Sheves Yitzorah. Isyashvus means this is where I want to be. This is where the dira is. So all of this that we're learning is expressed in this pasuk in the capital Samach Aleph. Furthermore, being in Zeh Kosher, Gam im Hamuva, this is also connected that which is brought by Maimer, the Maimer of the Rebbe Rashab. He brings it. This Maimer is based largely on that, but as we've seen, so he brings it from the middle of Rebbe being in Num Pshuta Sheba Pasuk of Boy Sid Vokum. The shaila there is, the pasuk says, why the nun at the end, or Vayidaber, and him you shall cleave, which is consistent with how the pasuk begins. The pasuk begins with, if you'll swear in his name and you'll go in his ways, v'alachta b'drachav. Where's the pasuk? Someone look it up. Pashas the get all pasuk straight in. What chapter? Friends, what chapter? What perek?
13:8. 13:5.
Acharei Hashem alekechem teleichu, not teleichun. Go after, follow the Eibishter. Voisei Tira and fear him. Not again, not Tiraun. That's mitzvahs of Tishmeiru and keep his mitzvahs. V'kerlis Yishmo. Voisei Saveidu. And then obey Tidbakun. What's the nun pshuta? Pshuta means straight, long, as opposed to nun in the middle of the word, which is kofar, which is bent. It's a straight, long nun. Why at the end of the pasuk, all of a sudden when it comes to cleaving him, it's Tidbakun. Not whereas the rest of the psukim, right? Taveidu, Tishmo, Tishmeru, so. So explains the Mittel Rebbe, quoted in the mind of the Rebbe Rashab, the long extended nun conveys the amshacha all the way down. Explains there the Mittel Rebbe that the amshacha is all the way down, lower than the world of Kedusha. In general, the lines in the Sefer Torah, there are lines engraved, shirtut, in the Sefer Torah. So those lines are the distinction between Kedusha and the opposite. So when a letter extends below the line, it's amshacha, even all the way down. The elevation of even those divine sparks. In other words, the way this hatshuvah. So where is the nun pshuta? Which is amshacha all the way down. What's the word? What's the context? It's the highest level we speak of. The pasuk is speaking in ascending levels of attachment. And in him you shall cleave, be attached. Explained in Chassidus that it comes. He quotes the pasuk here. All after all of the levels. Shenimnu bakos of different things that the pasuk enumerates earlier, namely Acharei. We learned this now. This pasuk is in the Avodim Mayino. The first is the Avodah Chitzon is Acharei v'alekechem teleichu, and then the end is a Vayidaber. Has to be the Seder. The whole Avodah is Yetzias Mitzrayim. No, it's the Chazad Maamar, friends. Acharei v'alekechem teleichu. That's how it begins, and ascending. And finally, they say Taveidu, serve him, and then he adds at the end, so this is the highest levels of Mesiras Nefesh, Tshuva Mesiras Nefesh, the Mile Megam Mesiras Nefesh Shmoneser. Higher even in the Mesiras Nefesh Shmoneser, which a Yid stands in, it says, Adnes Vasei Tiftach, Hashem, you open my lips. He stands in complete bittul. This is even higher than that. As explained in the mind of the Mittel Rebbe, the darkest corresponding to Avedis Atfilah. The Davke Mishom Ba Hanun Pshuta, and there, in this highest level of attachment, higher than Shemoneh Esrei, is the Nun Pshuta Shemeir Alam Shach Malamata Beifen, the V'yeshev Olam. It comes all the way down into the world. The language, it means that his attachment to the Eibishter is dafke, as he's engaging in the world, the chayr, in those things which overtly are not kedusha. That's where the deepest connection is. That's what the embassy dveikus is. And that's the tachlis of all of the aliyahs, which are really rotzoy in many ways described in the first part of the pasuk. Shagam ba'ilam belosh hana v'hester is in nimshach b'efen shal is yashvos. His yashvos means not that it's like a time out from what he's doing. Remember, there's a God, but the presence of the Eibush to the deepest way permeates, can be seen in his behavior in Olam Mamash. The Mata Mikdusha is in the world of an unholy world, but you see in every Tenuah that this is a chassid. There's a chassid doing business. There's a chassid talking to, when he's talking to, or doing whatever he's doing.
It's Yashvus Mloshin Shuv. The Kabbana is in the Shuv. It's Yashvus maybe in the...
No, that's how the whole place is saying here. Likewise, when they say Tokum Canal, as you said earlier, that the Darg of Seva, remember? Zikna Seva, Arich, the highest levels. So that is explained that after which we said earlier, the Kras Vidas HaMalchos that goes, this is Yirat Tata, this is the lower level of all, this is Malchos. Shia Darga Yeset Achtoina. So then, and that's in the Shuv, what's the seam of the Pasuk? This is Halarichas we learned in this Maimer and the previous one. As a seam a Pasuk Ani Havaya. The end of this whole avodah, what's the attachment? What's the connection? Ani havaya v'yaduah sh'b'chamakim shneimar ani havaya. Whenever the pasuk says I havaya, harizemir al atzmos and that refers to atzmos and again, the beitit vokun. That where's the dafke? It's in the avodah sfiras hamalchut, which is engagement, which is shuv, which is yirat tata, which also means that when we're out there in the world, a person obviously when he's in the world, he is not in the state of gaguim and longing and transcendence and stirred deep emotions. What drives in this Pashat Kabbalah soil? The memory and the inspiration of his desire to be connected to Hashem is in a subconscious way, but Lepeil is engaged in what he has to do. So what is the connection of the Kabbalah soil? And then Ani Havaya, in that moment that he is doing what he has to do, Pasha for Panos and everything else, as Ani Havaya, Atzmos and Moses is there with him. This is what I want. This is where the lave of the Odom HaTachten is engraved, as it were, and reflected and one inseparably with the Odom Elyon. Let's continue. Continuing the kapitel. Kapitel Samachalef. Medidik. The days of, let me get the word straight, the translation straight. Tilim, anybody has a Tilim in front of them? I don't. Just read the translation, if you don't mind. Read the translation for us. No?
Add days to the days of the king.
I can't hear. Add days to the days of the king.
May his years equal those of every generation.
May his years equal
Those of every generation.
May his years equal like the what?
The years of every generation.
The years of every generation. It's hard to understand. I didn't look up the Mefarshim. So the pshat is inyan shalei sofa. So what's the pasuk speaking here about? Yom Yemei Melech Toisif. Addition. What is the inyan here? Kedas chachamim that zocha meisifin loy. So machlek is there. Whether a person in the Gemara there in Yevamis, whether a person is able to add to the years allotted to him before he was born or not.
Before he's born?
Yeah.
If he's zocha before
If
he's zocha before he's born?
No, can he add to the years allotted to him? Before he was born, the person's allotted X amount of years. Can you add to it? So there's two opinions, yes or no. But the K'tas Chachamim is that zoch of a person merits, yes, Moisifin Loi. The Rebbe is giving himself and Klal Yisrael a bracha pashut. Pardon?
I thought it was very hard to win.
It didn't say it's easy, but zoch Moisifin Loi. It's possible to add. The Chacham is the halacha kechachamim. They're the majority. I don't remember the other day. But Tosfos adds over there the Avsha Amru. So much so, Tosfos adds big chiddush that even though elsewhere the Gemara says in Beit Cotton that Bonachaim is in the loibeschus Italia militza, that health, children, how many children and healthy children and life, and Panosa is not. It's not dependent on schus. It's determined by heaven. It's totally in one's mazel, and you don't have a choice in your mazel. Says Tosfos on this Gemara in Yevamis that Zocham Eisifin Loi, even in these inyanim, great merit, Moel, Sheyin Shalisaf. Even what in those things which is dependent on one's mazel, and he explains that. How could this be? How could there be anything greater than a Yid's mazel? What's a Yid's mazel? Mazel refers to the constellations above, the natural forces of Teva, the Malachim, and so on. So the Gemara says in Shabbos that Ein Mazel Yisrael. So this explains what's the pshat. The word mazel means to drip down, as in v'noizlim min alavonim. Mazel tov means that the darg of toiv l'mayla mazel should drip down, should come down. Or this is a moment where the mazel is coming down, should flow. So what's the level of a Yid's mazel? It's a level of ayin. Ayin means beyond ishtal shalus, not part of the mazolas. Ayin is the mazel which comes down. Shebchinas ayin ha-mazel d'Yisrael. So the shaila is it's such a lofty level, a level of ayin. We call it ayin because it's no thing that we can define. In other words, hide in ishtal shalus. So how are we saying here that if zocha meisifin loy, even in that inyan which the Gemara says is totally in mazel. And what's a mazel of a yid? Ayin. Tosfos says on this Gemara that through zocha, even these inyanim which are totally in the ayin mazel of a yid, it can also change. So the answer is everything we're learning in this maamar. But the answer is that a yid is rooted even high in the darga of ayin. Explained in the Indian of Kamayim Ponim al Ponim Shazayin Shalamayla Filamit Dovar Hamishavim in Amayim. That where is a Yid? The Yid's there in the Ponim Ha'elyon, the Odam Ha'elyon, in such a way that's not that he's a creation of the Mayim. The truth and exclusivity and absoluteness of Elikus is uncompromised. There's only the Mitzias Hamayim, u'behem nidim pnei mistakel b'chol haprat. And in the Mayim Yonim, that's where Yid and the Shom is rooted b'chol hapratim in the Mayim Yonim. And therefore, there are absolutely no agbolas, not even agbolas of Ein Mazel Yisrael, of Ayin Mazel Yisrael. In other words, the level of Ayin is the level of Bligvol, of Eraseviv, and even higher. But it is Moshe Shenatzmos, and therefore there's no agbolas. Mishom Yochel Liyes Inyan Shel Yisaf B'Yimei Melech. Therefore, there can be Mei Melech Malchus goes in Knesset Yisrael and Yidden. That's how we see them. What's so beautiful here is the inseparability of Rebbe and Klal Yisrael here. This is not he's speaking one language. Anosi Hakel. So there can be Yisaf and the Yemei Melech Yom, Yemei Melech Toisiv. That's the Yisaf. The Yisaf is Kedas Chachamim that Zocham Eisifin Loi. Oh, the call Yisam Malachim Heim. This is every Yid. This is Miledes and the bracha for every Yid. All Yid are called Malachim. Sometimes he would bring these two girsas, B'nei Malachim and Malachim. You bring both. Now it's straight to Malachim. Because he's speaking here about Yomim al Yomim Melech Tosef. Shezeh b'chines hamayim shem betach. I'm sorry. That every year is higher than rooted, higher than Basel, and higher than Schos. Where is he rooted? B'chines lifnei Elikim, higher than Shem Elikim and its highest dargis, as you said. K'mayim upon him, that's where a yid is. Shezeh b'chines hamayim shem betach pshitos. This is the darg of Elikus, which is the absolute pshitos atmos. She'ein bem tzir klal. Atmos, there is no form at all, and there is the level of the matach, the panim of the other matach. This is what the Vayidaber brings the name of his father. This brought now Yom also. That Chassidus Shaleh most Admar Azak and his nafshay. Which the Acharei was Mason Nefesh, Va'om Ashi Shaykh, Shayachas to Kol Achavachas Bnei Yisrael, and the Chassidus is Shaychas to every Yid. So said the Rebbe Rashab that Chassidus stellt avek achos it ponim el ponim to Atmos Ein Sof. Again, invoking the my ponim el ponim. That Chassidus places achos face to face to Atmos Ein Sof. Every Yid. And there it's drawn into the world from there. Where it's expressed is Dafk in the Shuv, Dafk in the Yeshiv Olam, the Matan Asarat Tvachim, not just in the world on some level that is Mokim Ptur, Olam Ba'achtos, but Dafk in the world lower than 10 Tvachim, which is the world of the vision. So there's the Yeshiv Olam in the Shus Rabbi. In such a way, the implication here is years should be like what you said, like all generations. What does that mean? It means that it embraces, it is making its pasuk here and now. At the door of the Malka Mashiach, that our generation merits the generation of Malka Mashiach. The Targum explains that the war with Amalek is unto all generations, says the Targum, all the way till the generation of Geula, of Mashiach. That's hinted to in this pasuk over here. So through Chassidus, which is revealed in the teachings of Chassidus, Nasias Amshachas Ha'atzmos, draws down the very essence of the Eibush Jaliyas HaGula, Dan Bites HaShlema, bringing about the true and complete Gula. B'chesed over Rachamim, as the Rebbe said, the Rebbe Shab said to him, should be in Chesed and Rachamim, kindness and compassionate, but in a good and revealed way, but Gola down in our time, but this generation of Dora, the Malka Mashiach, this generation bears to be the generation of Malka Mashiach, Yav Yigalenu, may he come and redeem us and lead us upright. I mean, so I'll just read to you, to go over the whole mind, and spend another few weeks. So I'll read to you as we do, just their it's an overview, just a content in the beginning of the Sefer. So I'll just translate it to you. This was the first Maimer of what? Of Yudalef ניסן Toshin Chavbeis. I think I told you, if you're watching the video on the screen, they'll be giving out matzahs the same year. It's nice to see the... So Rotzui, it was the sin of Bnei Adam, B'Karvos Mefnei Hashem, has to be in a way that there's a shuv. The Rotzui has to be, it was a big chiddush in the Rotzui, that the Rotzui from the Zohar has to be in a way that mistalkim ba'alma, that mamash, like virtual departure, k'meimes mamash, is pashtas agashmis, which means he connects to the deepest levels of alikus. And then in the end of the Maimer, the Maimer Yonim, And nonetheless, he returns because, first of all, there remains a kista, the chayusa. Kista means a small vial, a small amount of life force. Why? Because nichnas b'sholem, the rotzen is not mitzad his rotzen, but mitzad rotzen elyon. It's explained in the Maimed, and I tried to convey it on Nachman Shul Pesach. The pelish bedover here is, what's the pelish bedover? That when it's mitzad his rotzen elyon, he wants transcendence. Then the highest he gets to is taka transcendence and blikvul, and the end is klais nefesh. What he doesn't see is right there in the ponim, the maimal yonim is him, and the way he is lamata. That's he never gets there. And what's the maimal nirgish behem? He stops. He stops before the non nasiv malka, and if you be there by nasiv malka, you'd see my child. It's me. It's when we're together there. That's the pella. He only sees himself there when it's not mitzad his own desire. Because on the contrary, the person's desire is enough with me and divest myself, and he wants a likus and transcendence. That's the pella shabadav. But when it's mitzad the rotz and the alien, there nichnas b'sholem, and he touches atzmusa yizbarach, and there he sees that the whole kavana, and he's there. He sees himself there. And the kavana is him lamata. As we said, Yeshev Olam, Yishashvos in Olam. That's the whole Maimet explained. And that's Rabbi Kiva, Nichnas B'Sholem, and therefore Yotze B'Sholem. The whole Arichas of Mayim Panim, Lepanim, like the face is the water. The incredible mashal here is that the entire face is reflected, but it's not something other than the water, not even a creation of the water. It's not bottles, not like dogim should be yom. But there he is, and that's what Rabbi Kiva, the whole bavarnish, the whole bavarnish in English, pardon, forewarn. He tried to prepare them. His chaverim, all of them failed in the nichnas lepardes because they could not. They heard his words, but they still got lost in the longing. What did he tell them? That when you see kashat magim eitzel avnei shaish toher. Al toimru mayim mayim. When you come to the pure marble stones, which explains the tzimtzum, so don't say mayim mayim. There's two realities. There's a likus liftat tzimtzum, likus achar tzimtzum, and this is bagbola, and that's blikvul, and there is revealed, and here he is concealed. It's not so. The chiddush is that in the mayim el yonim there is the adam atach, not just in the mayim tachtonim, which is Acharei tzimtzum. Is that clear? Like hit the nail on the head. What is he telling them? You'll come there and you'll see the tzimtzum. And again, up in Pshutishal of the Gemara, the problem is don't say that it's water. But remember, he said from the Arizal, it's not that don't say that it's water. Don't say mayim mayim. That was the whole problem. The Beis Hamikdash, the walls were made to look. Gordis made it. It looked like we wanted to cover it. They told him no. Should look like Gali Mayim. Because that's the tzimtzum, the walls of the Beis Hamikdash, the tzimtzum, of Liftet tzimtzum, Acharei tzimtzum. So what's he saying? Don't say water. Don't say that there's a likus. Only, and I've not, and for me to be there, therefore, I have to be oizich, beyond self. Can't be with my humanity there. I've got to divest myself in order to attend the Mayim El Yonim, to connect to the Mayim Yonim. It's only the Mayim Tachtoinim in Akbol, in Gvul, in the Shtal Shalus. That's where we have a place. But the Eibishter, there's no Bria, there's no nothing. Don't say that, because in the Mayim El Yonim is the Leiv Adam, is Kamayim Panim El Panim. That's where your face is. The Kavon of Atzmus is Dir B'Tachtoinim. You are present there, not only in the Tacht. That's the Nukud. So this is the Rotzoi, Kfi Rotzon Elyon, the desires, the Eibishter ones, which is a relationship with the Yid, Dafk in the Olam, and he said the Nun Pshuta, not only in his davening and his learning, but as he extends it down into the world of of hell and vehester mamish, and even he hinted even it's chatoim and averes, it's going to be part of it. It's dafka there, the Eibishter wants to be with him. And where is that? In the Mayim Elyonim. All of his pratim are reflected inseparably from the Mayim Elyonim. This is the shaykhs and mizmas amachalef miktzei oretz eilecha ekra. The where does he call out from miktzei oretz dafka lamata eilecha ta'atzmos, and that is yeshiv olam lifnei elikim. That's the shuv. His mamshich of lifnei elikim yomam al yemei melech toisif. And he draws down the Amshach in such a way in Bonachai Mezenda de Vicha, even higher than the Mazel and higher than the Schus. How could he do so? Because he is rooted in Lifnei Elikim. There's no Agabolas and Poshet Abrachas and Amshachas Begashmias, children and Panos and health, against all limitations, even of Ishtalshalas and even higher than Ishtalshalas. That's how the Rebbe ends. Is Meridik Yemayim. We ask for something better. Okay. So tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, we'll start the next Maimon.